everybody, and welcome back to the 97th episode of the Triboro Podcast. I am your host, Justin Alonso, and I just realized Nick always does the... If you guys are watching on video, you'll know what I mean. Just a little head nod every time. How are we doing, head nod O'Brien?
I'm doing good. I always gotta acknowledge,
Always
we
gotta
are back.
acknowledge, yeah.
Yes, this is the Triboro Podcast. Yes, acknowledge the audience.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm doing all right. Baseball strikes once again. You talked to me 3 days ago. I'm in a much better mood than I am now.
You talked to me on Saturday morning. I am in a furious mood. You talk to me now.
Good.
I am in a phenomenal mood. Baseball.
It's amazing. It's great. It's wonderful how those things work out.
I love baseball.
What's not wonderful is 4-game sets that wrap around on Mondays.
Oh my god.
Ridiculous.
Do you know what I don't love?
Dumbest thing. What don't you
Guards ball. I fucking hate it.
Guards ball is also pretty annoying.
Satanic. Most annoying bullshit on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I don't know if you know this, Guardians. It's not fucking sustainable. Look at every playoff run you guys have had after 2016. Anyways. Did you have anything else to say before we get into, I think, the Bronx?
No.
No?
Let's go.
So let's
Take
go
us
Bronx.
away.
That one is drilled deep to right field. There it goes. See ya.
That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
This is 161st Street, Yankee Stadium. Transfer is available to the B and D trains.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into the Bronx. And I don't know if you know this, but I absolutely despise the Cleveland Guardians' way of playing baseball because it is not real baseball.
Fake ball.
Fake ball.
Fake ball. You're playing
but
banana ball.
before we get into the banana ball, which has sold out 2 football stadiums, your injury update brought to you by the Triboro MD. Louis Heel started a throwing program yesterday. Great. Awesome. No update on his return. No timeline exactly, so I'm not going to just spitball and give a random date, but DJ LeMahieu, he has unfortunately played really well in his rehab games. I think in his first game he had a double and a home run. And like 3 for 3. So he's hitting very well in Double A against future Walmart grocers. And so, yeah, he's playing really well. They don't know when he's going to be back exactly, but there may be a little bit more of a somewhat need for him on this roster than I thought of a while ago. I'll get into that soon, but Marcus Stroman, he felt something in his knee on the 21st. Still no real update on that, so I don't know.
Is his knee still there?
I don't think so anymore. Takes
Did
a
he
12
feel it
gauge.
just
I don't
going
think he has a
away?
knee anymore.
It's
But
gone.
yeah, God only fucking knows what's happening with his knee situation. Because they said he was only supposed to be the minimum. I think the minimum's about to pass. And there's no word of him, like, rehabbing starts, really. So
Yeah, he was placed on the IL April 12th.
yeah, so the minimum passed.
Yeah, the minimum's already gone.
But Jonathan
Oh,
Loizaga
no.
as well started a rehab assignment. Yay! Yay!
Johnny Lasagna.
The lasagna man is back. But that's your injury update. Brought to you by the Triboro MD. Getting into the actual game. So the first game was a Clark Schmidt versus a Gavin Williams, correct, right?
Yep.
I hate myself how sometimes I just forget to put the first names for the other teams. And then I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? But,
Williams.
But yeah, so it was a 0-0 game. And then in the third inning, Jose Ramirez golfed a 3-run home run. Yeah, it's Jose Ramirez. It was a 6-0 game going into the 7th inning. Jason Dominguez, boom, 2-run home run. Okay, I was taking a dump when that happened. Then 8th inning, and I just hear Michael K in the background. I'm like, what am I missing?
What's happening?
8th inning, Jazz Chisholm, 2-run home run, 6-4 game. Okay. 9th inning, guy gets on base. everyone gets out because baseball. All things considered, I think Clark Schmidt did pitch somewhat solid. I forget what the final numbers are on his line, but it really felt like he had one bad inning, and then every other inning he was good. Because the one thing that you can say about Clark so far is, even when he struggles this year, or struggle, quote unquote, his stuff still looks filthy. He's still racking up those Ks. I think he went like 4 2/3, 4 runs. That sounds right with my brain, but yeah, that game just sucked. It felt like a lot of bloop, 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 bloop. Oh, error. Oh, bloop. Oh, this guy's fast as shit. He beat it out.
Yeah.
Game 2 was no different. So that was Will Warren versus Tanner Beebe. It was a 2-3 loss. So this was the first game that Ben Rice officially, or it was his first start since the getting hit on the elbow. And I was very worried about the power. I don't know about you, but I feel like a bruise in like your elbow. I was like concerned about the power. First pitch he sees, he hits a home run, opposite field. So,
he's fine.
I was like, okay, I'm not worried anymore.
Yeah.
Especially in Cleveland where the wind is so fucking weird over that big ass wall. And, dude, Aaron Judge hit a ball 111 miles an hour, 419 feet. Was not a home run.
Was that to left field?
It was to, like, left center.
Yeah. Because
like,
I know,
if
right center is where that wind tunnel is.
If it was half a foot over to the right, it was a home run.
Oh, it sucks.
Like, it literally was just, it's one of those things where it's,
Yeah.
it hit it right here.
The wind just took it.
Not even the wind.
That's a shame.
Just, he hit it in the wrong spot. Yeah, Aaron Judge is the only player in baseball that has 2 balls hit over 415 feet at 111 miles an hour, and both those are not home runs. And that doesn't include the one in Tampa.
He's washed.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Hey, he broke his homerless streak.
He did. That's
where he's
true.
still hitting fucking 400, but...
Right.
Words. Yeah, Will Warren, he overall pitched really well. Went 5 innings, only 1 run. Okay, this is my issue with Will Warren. So he was pitching very well through 5 innings. And then the top of the order came up. I would have pulled him. I wouldn't have put him
out. Was that 3rd time through, I assume? Yeah.
Goes back out for the 6th. Immediately gives up 2 singles. And I believe one of the runs ended up... Mark Leiter came in. He ended up giving 3 runs. One of the runs ended up being unearned. So it was only 1 earned run on Warren. So 5 innings, 1 earned run, 2 runs. He pitched pretty good. And the Guardians are kind of backwards where they've been hitting recently. Somewhat hitting well. Which is more than what you could say for them at all times. But I like what he did against, at the very least, you have some veterans in that lineup. And I did not realize how god-awful of a hitter Austin Hedges is.
Oh, yeah. He's purely a vibes guy.
He is one of the worst hitters I've ever seen. It is ridiculous.
It's pretty bad.
I think they said he has, like, the lowest career average of, like, a qualified hitter or something. Or, like, one of the lowest of all time. And it's just...
That wouldn't shock me.
It's some crazy stat like that on the broadcast.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and even going into... Because they ended up losing 3-2. They ended up not getting the runs back. But this is a tweet from Ryan Garcia. Over his past 3 starts, Will Warren's velocity is up from 92 to 93.4. He has a 3.86 ERA, 3.37 FIP, 24.5 strikeout percentage since having that velocity spike.
Nice. You're just getting warmed up. Yeah, the month, almost like a month in. I think we're basically a month in at this point, so that's,
7 starts into his major league career.
Right. Guys are kind of starting to feel it. They're getting their feet wet, their feet under them, and yeah, I'm curious. I don't know if you know this off the top of your head. Like, what did he average in the minors? Is he always kind of like...
It was low.
Okay.
He was never like a crazy velo guy.
Yeah, okay. No, that's why I figured. But, yeah, seeing a little velo spike is a little surprising, I think. But, hey, sometimes, again, as the season goes on, it kind of just feel a little looser, and here you go.
He was always like that sweeper curveball type. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, more like the off-speed stuff. And
the funk.
He'd have like a good fastball when he mixes it in. It's more like sequencing, stuff like that. But
Right.
then, because I know you wanted to talk about him a lot, getting into Game 3, it was Carlos Rodon versus Luis Ortiz, 5-1 win. The offense did phenomenal. Luis Ortiz, he went 4 1/3 innings, which was kind of shocking, because he only gave up 4 runs. It really felt like he should have had 8. He just could not locate the ball. The offense, to their credit, did very well against him. He ended up only giving up 4 runs somehow. They ended up tacking on another one later. But Carlos Rodon, he went 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, but it was an unearned run, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. His last 2 starts, 13 innings, 0 runs, 6 hits, 6 walks, 17 strikeouts. You go back to his last 18 starts. He has a .312 ERA, a 30.5 strikeout percentage. So a little bit over a year, a little bit over half a year, he has .312 ERA.
Looking good.
But I know you
Give
had
him
an
that.
issue with him. Or you found his issue.
So I came across this because I was trying to find issues with the Mets because it felt like what I was searching up felt like it was a Mets issue, but it kind of called out Rodon a little. So I was looking on 2 strike counts, the amount of hits and walks the Mets have been giving up. To my surprise, Carlos Rodon ranks second with 25 at-bats with 2 strikes that have ended in a hit or a walk.
Mm.
Second in baseball. I think that's his biggest issue. It's just
Who's
he
first?
gets guys to
I'm just curious.
Jordan Hicks with 27,
Interesting.
which I think Hicks kind of makes a little more sense because his control is definitely waxing and waning. But Rodon is second of 25, so 25 at bats that have ended that had at 2 strikes have ended in a walk or a hit.
Does it say
And
how
I
many
think-
are walks, how many are hits?
I can quickly find
Because
out.
I'd bet there's more walks than hits. As weird as that sounds, just 'cause I feel like he tries to get too cute too many times, where he'll be 0-2 in a guy, and then he'll just like try to nibble. One bad call, and then he'll get like so pissed off. But
You would be right. He leads baseball in 12 at-bats with 2 strikes that have ended in a walk.
yeah, so 12 walks and then 13 hits,
Yeah.
which
So a pretty 50-50 split.
is
but
very
still.
bad considering you have to give up 4 more. You have to miss on 4 pitches for that to happen.
Right.
So,
I will say I don't know if this is the way this searched is only by 2 strikes, so I don't know if that was like an 0-2 count.
yes.
And honestly, you know what? I can do that too. Let's look at 0-2 counts
Let's
now
see
that we're
this, let's
talking
see
about
this.
it. If 0-2 counts ended in a walk has not happened
Okay.
unless I'm still getting used to Savant Search. Let me put that out there. So I don't know if I'm doing it right, but that has not happened unless it's kind of like it thinks it's a 0-2 count. That
Well, yeah,
is
because
a walk.
it's impossible to walk on.
You know what I mean? I think that
yeah.
might be what it's looking at, but
No, because
that'll be something I'll look for off camera. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked.
It really feels like he just tries to get too cute. It doesn't. He's so annoying because there's sometimes he just tries to overpower stuff when it's like, no,
Yeah.
you don't need to. And there's times like,
Right.
dude, just use your stuff. And he tries to get too cute.
Yeah.
So he does irk me, but he's been a lot better than we've realized.
Yes, I definitely have not realized how good he's been.
Yeah.
Or kind of what like the under the hood stuff is saying,
Yeah.
because I think that kind of paints a better picture than again even I noticed.
Yeah, because I know like his FIP and expected FIP are both around like 3. So he's pitched a lot
I could
better.
search it.
Which you're gonna search it right now.
I'm trying to,
You're
but
trying
my
to.
computer is slow. But yeah, he's definitely looked a lot better. I think the sequencing has looked a lot better. I don't know if you have it in front of you. Do you know his pitch usage?
I think it
in
was
this
like
game?
40 fastball. I think it was
Alright,
like 40.
that's not terrible.
40 fastball, then like 27 slider, 27 changeup. If that adds up.
Yeah. So far this year, 3.5 ERA, a 2.9 expected ERA,
Yeah.
a 3.86 FIP and a 3.33 expected FIP.
Yeah.
And that expected ERA is 77th percentile.
Yeah.
So, and obviously the biggest thing is the walks. Everything else looks good. It's the walks.
That is by far the biggest issue with Carlos Rodon. Is the walk because
surprise, but yeah.
Yeah, and when he walks guys, he'll like get in his head too about it, and now comes to lose more control and but
exactly what you said.
Exactly how I said it, but yeah, just a dog outing from him in that game to go 7 innings against. I feel like when a guy goes against a team that he pitched a lot against, I give benefit to the team that's seen him a lot.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So, to do that against a team that he pitched a million times against, either that be in the playoffs or while he was just with the White Sox, very good start from him.
White Sox?
What?
Because you said playoffs, and then you said White Sox, and I got really confused.
But, yeah, they won only one of the 3 games, but they don't have to play in Cleveland again. I will take that.
So who's the real winner
Who's the real winner here? We don't have to play... Dude, you may not know this because, obviously, you're not a Yankee fan. You don't watch Yankee games. Whenever they play in Cleveland, the weirdest, fucking funkiest shit happens, and I hate it so much.
I see it all over Twitter. It's just like, it's the most sweatiest games in the middle of the season that for no reason whatsoever.
It makes no sense. It'll be like 5 bloopers that'll all get down. You'll have platinum glove caliber defenders that'll just like forget how to field a baseball. Like I think it was in the second game where like Jazz like makes this absurd play to get a ball, and then like Laxey Daisley just like spikes it in the ground at first.
Oh, I think I saw that. Yeah.
And you know it's like one of those. It was one of those hops where like it wasn't a big hop at all, which makes it so much harder than if there was a hop.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think I saw that.
It was like it hopped like a foot in front of Goldschmidt.
Right.
So like that's just
like should a Goldschmidt picked it? Maybe.
I don't think so.
But at the same time, it's like why is Jazz making it so much harder for
like that? That's a very tough pick. When it's like that, like in between a pick and a should I just
right? It's kind of like
yeah. But love what I've seen from those two guys recently, Warren and Rodon. Then getting into Game 4. Or Game 1 against the Blue Jays, because they had the off day on
Game
Thursday.
4 of the week.
Game 4 of the week, yes. That's how I set my notes up. I'll show like Game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Game 4. Game 1! Carlos Carrasco versus Jose Barrios. So, Carrasco was through 5 innings, scoreless innings, looked really well. He was only at 67 pitches, and they pulled him. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I love Cookie. Obviously, I watched him a while I was on the Mets. It's especially now where he is in his career. I think if you get 5 scoreless innings, you have to, because you just know the shoe's about to drop.
Especially with
you don't want to get too greedy. Right. You don't want to get too greedy, so you kind of just like, all right, you know what? He gave us 5 scoreless.
Yeah.
Thank you. Move on.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
I agree. You know, if they put him in when they did batter, whatever.
Right.
You know, it was a 0-0 game, too. If they had, like, a 5-run lead, I could have seen them, like...
Oh, absolutely.
Doing it, whatever. But it was a tied game, 0-0. So I was like, okay. Yeah, I was a little shocked that he was only at 67 pitches. But I was like...
Right.
Yeah, okay. Like, that makes sense.
Right.
But the reason why I think it's getting brought up a lot is because the first batter that Tim Hill faced was Vladdy. Vladdy immediately hits a home run to make it a 1-0 game.
Yeah. That's just
It's Vladdy plus just Tim Hill was bound to give up runs.
Yeah.
Like he's been absurd this year, but it's just the way baseball is that the best guys will give up runs at some point.
The regression monster.
Not even regression monster, just like
regression from perfection.
Okay. Well, Tim Hill is perfection, so
exactly.
A little coked out psychopath, but
I assumed there was lefty. Well, if...
Yeah, I forget the lineup, but it was, like, kind of weird.
Putting in Tim Hill to face Vladdy is not an excellent decision.
Here, I will get you their lineup right now. That was something I saw, and I thought the same exact thing, too, but I just completely forgot to, like, actually look at who else was in the order around Vladdy. But game 1, Blue Jays. I think Vladdy was the first hitter. It went Vladdy, Santander, Springer.
Yeah, well, I don't understand putting in Hill then.
Yeah.
I don't, obviously, I don't know the bullpen usage before that and yada yada, but, like, that doesn't seem like a
the
good...
off day was the day before. They're coming
Oh,
off
yeah,
off
so,
day.
yeah, so even more so, I don't understand that move at all.
And I don't think they used a lot of high leverage guys in the last game against Cleveland.
Yeah, that's a little perplexing. Because even Santander, he's a switch hitter, so he's going to be facing... I don't know his splits, but...
He's a lot better at velocity.
Okay.
Then again,
so
that could also just be I've seen him hit a lot... He hits a lot more lefty, so his numbers are going to be better. I don't know, like, the average numbers.
Yeah, but it's just like at that rate, you're making him face 3 right-handers. That doesn't make any sense. But
I didn't really get it. I
whatever.
love Tim Hill. That probably wasn't a lane for him.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because even if, say, Bo Bichette, they did it for the leadoff guy, it would have been Bo Bichette, another righty. So it doesn't even really matter if it was he came in first. But I think Vladdy was the first hitter he faced. I'm 95% sure on that.
That's probably that's something I probably wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense.
Leave in Carrasco or put in Tim Hill?
I put in Tim Hill. I definitely pull Carrasco, but I'd probably just put someone else.
I agree with you on that. But then, so it was a 1-0 game. Bottom of the 7th, Volpe double. Swallow single 1-1. Bottom of the 8th, he got a belly double, which he scared the shit out of me because it was a ball that kind of got in the middle of 3 guys, and he legged out for a double, but it looked like he should have been thrown out, but he was safe somehow. Whole thing. Jazz walk, Volpe hit by pitch, and then Austin Wells sack fly to make it a 2-1 game. Then you get into the bottom of the 9th. Enter Devin Williams. Single, hit by pitch, double to the fattest man in baseball. 3-2 game, Blue Jays. Leiter comes in, gives up another run to make it 4-2. Then, after the game, Boone was asked, like, is Devin Williams a closer? And Boone said, like, I don't know, the game just ended. I like that response.
Yeah, I think that's
personally,
fair.
Because to me it's a thing of he definitely did not have time to talk to Williams yet. So you won't. He could have made up in his mind. So you want Williams to hear that from the media,
right?
So
yeah,
like people were like getting mad at Boone for that. Like, no, like he's not gonna. I don't know. I feel like that was just people getting mad just to get mad.
Yeah, especially as big of a decision as that, you gotta talk to your guy first. You can't let them figure that out from something else, someone that's not you.
Yeah. So, Tim Hill, Jesus, Devin Williams, he does get pulled from the closer role, and then Saturday they were supposed to play a baseball game, but there was no rain, so they postponed it.
Yeah, I feel that was definitely a little premature. The Saturday was fine.
There wasn't a single drop of rain on Saturday.
It rained for like, well, obviously I'm a little further. I'm on the island for those that don't know, so I'm a little further from the Bronx. But it rained for like maybe half an hour, like in the middle of the day. But
okay, half-hour rain.
I think it was later at night. But
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, they definitely could have got it in
easily. But
so
regardless,
whatever. Make it hard on yourself.
I will. I was gonna say I may push back on that. I think this may be the best thing that could have happened to them.
Oh, okay.
Because going into these 2 games, it felt like they had a day off. All the guys were like, oh shit, Devin Williams just got demoted. Like, that's going to light a fire under our asses. You had guys be like, okay, we have a day off. Let's look at film. Let's do whatever. Because Anthony Volpe going into it was doing horrendous. Let me get the numbers. Before going into the doubleheader, he was 8 for his last 57. In the doubleheader, he went 4 for 7 with a walk and 2 extra base hits. A lot of other guys. Austin Wells, you kind of felt him kind of come back into his own. Aaron Judge, he's been phenomenal, but he broke the home run streak. Oh, homerless streak. J.C. Escarra hit his first career home run. Jason Dominguez, he seemed like he was playing a lot better. So it felt like a lot of guys kind of like took it as a sign like, okay, we gotta fix our shit.
Yeah.
And getting into the actual doubleheader itself, Game 5 was Game 1 of the doubleheader. Jesus Christ.
Game 2 of the series. Game 1 of the doubleheader. Game 5 of the week.
Game 1 of the doubleheader was Max Fried versus Kevin Gausman. I'm going to read you off Kevin Gausman's pitch counts, okay? First inning, 12. Second inning, 6. So he's at 18 pitches going into the third inning. 53 pitches in the third inning. His career high in walks is 6. He had 6 in the inning.
Credit to the Yankees. They put up some really good at-bats.
There was one I was going to highlight.
Really good at-bats.
One I was going to highlight specifically from Volpe. It was tied at 1-1, and Anthony Volpe comes up. He with 2 outs immediately gets into an 0-2 count. He fouls off like 5 or 6 pitches, ends up walking that at bat. Then ends up obviously giving them the run to go ahead, and then Austin Wells hits the base clearing double, and just that's what I mean. Where it's like you kind of felt even Wells himself had a long at bat. You almost felt a lot of guys kind of lock in.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I get what you mean. Definitely. I mean, when you kind of these 2 games are pretty Yankees favored. I don't correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there was ever a moment where it's kind of close or kind of I feel like these were 2 pretty easy games.
After the third inning of the first game, it was not close.
Right. Yeah. So besides the first 3 innings of the 18-inning day, you kind of could sit back and relax for a second. And
even that, I was a little nervous going into it because Gausman, he outside of Judge and Stan, he has really good numbers against the Yankees, and Chris Bassett always shits on the Yankees, and they shelled both the guys. So, but then getting into Max Fried because he was on the other side of it. He had a very weird first inning where he had about 30 pitches, but there was an Oswaldo Cabrera error. There was a bunch of weird shit. And 6 out of the first 10 batters reached. Only 2 more reached for the rest of the game. So he ended up going 6 innings. What?
It's a talk about locking in.
Yeah, he ended up going 6 innings, 1 run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, ERA down to 1.43 on the season. And even in that game, you felt if you watched it, Max Fried just didn't really have his stuff.
Mm-hmm. And
I feel like for a guy when he has 8-9 different pitches, that when he doesn't have his stuff, he has to figure it out. And it kind of takes a couple of innings to figure it out when you have to you have that much in your repertoire that you can use. So you kind of felt it. Where even the last couple of innings, he didn't necessarily get it, but it looked like he knew what he wanted to throw more and felt more comfortable and confident throwing what he wanted.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I love what I've seen from Max Fried so far. Yankees are 6-0 in his starts.
Where would the Yankees be without Max Fried? I think with this rotation, the one saving grace. Just
Carlos Rodon, but
yeah, Rodon's been fine, but still, he's been good. I'll give you that. He's been good, but we still have his starts
Carlos
where it's
Carrasco.
kind of 5 ERA, Carlos Carrasco.
5 innings.
Who else would even be in this rotation? But neither here nor there.
Lance Lynn, you're out of retirement, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Kyle Gibson, but
no, Max Fried has just been amazing.
Say Absolutely what you want about wins, losses, whatever, but if a team is 6-0 and a guy starts, that's not. He definitely has something to do with it. Especially when he has a sub 1.5 ERA.
Yeah.
So, in Max
stats
Fried,
like that are so much better than just a regular win-loss record of the pitcher. The win-loss record of the pitcher is kind of a very quick glance, but if he's 2-0. It's he only has 2 wins, but the team is 5-0 in his starts. Yeah. That paints a clearer picture.
Clark Schmidt, he went 5 innings, 1 run in the second game of the doubleheader, didn't get the win because it was tied when he left.
Right, and he kept the team in the game.
But he deserved that win. He went 5 innings, 1 run.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, that was absolutely huge getting those 6 innings in a day that he just didn't have it because Then you go to the bullpen, and they had like a crazy lead, so no one of use was used. Yeri De Los Santos, who was the 27th man, he pitched 2 innings. Then Tyler Maztek, he ended up made his Yankee debut, and he pitched the last inning. I didn't even mention that. Oh my God, Yandris Gomez got DFA'd from Maztek, and he got picked up by the Dodgers. So getting ready to see a 1.87 ERA for the rest of the year from Gomez.
He already pitched last night for the Dodgers.
He
too.
did. How'd he do?
Yeah, I think he did fine. I remember seeing him on the TV. I don't remember if he did anything of note.
Jesus Christ!
But he already pitched. And Glasnow's like hurt again. So
what'd you say?
And Glasnow's hurt again. So here we go.
Dude.
Yes. My fantasy team's in shambles.
Let me side tangent on Glasnow. That's my thing. Why I can't call him a top 5 pitcher. People call him a top 5.
You can't say healthy.
I can't call him a top 5 pitcher if he won't throw 100 innings.
Yeah.
But, anyways, the last important thing from Game 1 of the doubleheader. Did you see who was the catcher for the 9th inning?
I did not.
Benjamin Rice.
Oh, he caught. I did not see that.
He caught an inning.
Interesting. Okay.
Very interesting.
Interesting.
Because the way that I kind of see this going is that when Stanton comes back, I think Escaro is the odd man out. And I think Ben Rice kind of goes to the backup catcher role. And I think Wells is going to bounce back. I am not worried about Austin Wells at all. But if Austin Wells doesn't hit, does it almost become a 50-50? Just because you need to get Rice's bat in the lineup? And they say they love Rice's defense.
I was going to say, it depends on the defense.
Obviously, Wells is better because he's like one of the best defensive catchers in baseball. But they've raved about Rice's defense. And if there's any position that I'm going to trust the Yankees farm system to develop, it's going to be catcher. And you look at Augusto Ramirez, who's hitting 800 with Miami Marlins right now. And people are like, oh, if only the Yankees... Shut up. He's not going to hit 800 in his major league career. He may hit 700, but not 800. But no, I'm going to trust, especially defensively, because the whole knock on fucking what's-his-face on Austin Wells was, oh, he can't be a catcher. He's going to get moved to first base. He was one of the best. He was better than a Platinum Glove defender last year at catcher. Yeah. Even then, Jose Trevino won the Platinum Glove with the Yankees as a catcher. Granted, great catcher before. Elite defensive catcher before. Still won a Platinum Glove with the Yankees, so you got to give him a little bit of credit there. And you look at... How's Torrens behind the plate? Torrens.
He's been good. He's
Luis Torrens. You look at how every year it feels like with the Yankees that they have a logjam of catchers. And every year in spring training, I feel like they trade away 2 or 3 catchers. Just because they have so goddamn many of them, but... Yeah, then just like really quickly going into the last game. So, Trent Grisham, he led off the bottom half of the first inning with a solo shot. Thank you. It felt like the game was over after that, if I'm being honest. Like, that happened, I was like, okay, I can relax.
We got it.
But the only other note was Judge broke the homerless streak. Escaro hit his first career home run. Congrats to him. Absolute
Super
tank
cool.
job. The pimp was immaculate.
I was going to say that. I love the pimp. I love the pimp. That was... Because you don't know how much time he has left on the majors, whatever. I'm so glad he got a home run, and he was able to kind of soak it in a little. I think that was so cool.
Dugout reaction?
No, I didn't see that.
I don't know what other teams do, but the Yankees, they kind of have like a tunnel that when you hit a home run, you go down like high-fiving, and they go like, hey.
Oh, that's cool.
But they were going like nuts. Like it's usually
back in my day, they got the silent treatment. I feel like teams don't do that anymore.
The Yankees will every once in a while.
Really? I haven't seen that in so long. I remember
Glaber got one like a year or 2 ago. Mm-hmm. But no, they're usually like here on it. They were like here.
Good for him. That's so cool. So cool. I love that.
Yeah, you absolutely love to see that. And then getting into just my overall notes, the more and more I see it, I think that Jazz is one of the unluckiest hitters in baseball. Do you know what his BABIP is right now? Well, let me say his career BABIP is around 305.
Okay. I'm going to guess like 220. Is it below 200? Oh boy.
on Thursday it was like 150. Now it's up to 186.
Okay.
But 186 when his career is 305.
Yeah. It's quite the difference.
And his expected weight on base, 338. So there's obviously that's not a 1-to-1, but it's a stark discrepancy between his career averages. And even then, would you believe that Jazz Chisholm has the lowest chase rate of his career this year?
I would not believe you due to the 30% strikeout rate.
It would not feel that way, but it's by like 3 or 4% the lowest rate of of chasing in his career. Would you also believe that this is his highest walk rate of his career? At 12.5, and his second highest was about 8.9.
I would not. Interesting.
So it's so weird because you look at he's actually better than what he's been in his career, but sometimes it's just like, buddy, what are we doing? Like,
it's so funny because it's one of those things where, like, he's walking more. That's good, but he's not hitting as much. So should you be more aggressive, even though you're walking more, which is good?
I think it's
like, this is not the same thing, but Vinny Pasquantino was on MLB Central like a week ago, and he talked about how he increased his bat speed, but he's not sure if that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when you think about it, you're swinging the bat faster, harder. That's good, right? But it's not good for every player. That's what makes baseball so fun, is that he's increasing an objectively better statistic. But for the player itself, it's subjective, because if he's swinging harder, does that fit his role and his approach better?
Exactly.
And he's still figuring that out.
Literally just look at the torpedo bats.
Right.
Where objectively, one bat may be better for everyone in general, but that's not subjectively for each individual person. But I think it is.
I wonder if.
What'd you say?
I was gonna say, I just wonder if maybe Jazz. I feel like this is not gonna sound like what I'm trying to say, because he's usually an aggressive hitter, and I think the 30% strikeout rate shows that. I think he could just be a little more aggressive. I don't know.
I don't know.
What do you think?
Though. I'm fine with it right now, because you're telling me that he has I think it's like a 105 WRC plus, and there's bound to be positive regression.
Right. Fair.
So I'm fine with it. I just need that positive regression to happen, because some of the at-bats are hard to see without it. But, because you'll see, he'll have like a lot of good like quality of contact. He'll just be like right at someone, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and also with Jazz, we talked about it a lot with Volpe. Jazz, to a higher extent, just needs to get on base.
That's true.
But obviously Jazz has more power than Volpe, just based off like swing path and all that. So you still want that power from Jazz, because I said it before, I really think if Jazz plays 150 games, he'll go 30-30.
Yeah.
But
and to your point about quality of contact, he has his second highest expected weight on base on contact in his career.
Yeah.
So.
And.
Gotta slow down on the strikeouts, please.
Yeah.
My fantasy team needs less strikeouts.
But staying in the infield, Oswaldo Cabrera is slowly becoming a butcher at third base. He has 2 outs above average. He has 4 errors on the year. And say what you want about errors, but like these are errors that are like
these are errors. These are bad.
Like with take Javi Baez when he was on the Cubs. Like he had an absurd amount of errors, but that's just because his range was so ungodly better than everyone else that he just got to balls no one else would get to and create errors on those. But no, these are errors. These are just throwing errors, and I don't know. Like that's your whole point is that you may be a below league average bat, but you will give very good defense at third base, and you'll run into some home runs. If you're not running into home runs, you're not hitting, and then you're also making errors like that. Because even in the Max Fried start, the run only was on base because of that error.
Yeah.
And I believe he's
slowly becoming a problem. And
so, with DJ LeMahieu coming back.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
It'll just give the Yankees the excuse. No, they're begging for the excuse. Because if he's not starting, you DFA him. With DJ.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
you're not going to have $12 million on the bench to just sit there and rot.
Do you think offensively it could be kind of a wash? Like, would DJ be worse than a nearly 700 OPS?
I was about to say, I don't know, because Oswaldo's been, like, somewhat hitting. He's been, like, a tick below league average, whatever. And then I had, like, Vietnam flashbacks to how bad DJ LeMahieu at-bats were.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about how awful those at-bats were, and then I was like, okay, maybe it... I'd say yes, because I don't think Oswaldo is this bad defensively. I don't. I think it may just be one of those stretches, but if it continues, then, ooh, buddy. I also just think that they're going to...
Definitely a conversation.
Pablo Reyes, like, he's getting the good old kick the baby treatment from South Park, and when DJ comes back, and DJ's going to be kind of like a shorthand platoon guy, if he wants to be an effective shorthand platoon, cool. I am not watching 400 at-bats of DJ LeMahieu this year.
Yeah.
My eyeballs will be
250.
gouged out with an ice cream scooper if I have to watch that many at-bats from DJ LeMahieu. But
it'd be so funny if he just, like, if he's an above average hitter, if he's like a 105.
Dude, if he's an average hitter with good defense, I will Devil Magic. He got some of the Chiefs Devil Magic. That's the only possible excellent. He went with Aaron Rodgers on a darkness retreat to get the ayahuasca. Shador may have to call him up to figure something out, but poor man. Anyways, that obviously I already talked about Volpe. That was like my other big note on the infield, just how he's starting to pick it up. I really hope it's something of like the off day, seeing Williams get demoted. It's like, all right, we gotta time our shit up now. Who knows? Only 2 games in 1 day, so I'm not gonna really put stock in it.
See, this was my biggest thing with Volpe, and to his credit, he's having some of the best underlying metrics of his career so far. But it's just he's not consistent with the changes, right? He started off hot, and then he couldn't catch up to fastball. Right, and now we're at the... I think we just got past the he sucks again offensively. He sucks again point, and now it's kind of like, oh, he's picking it back up.
Part of it could be that, like, he wasn't really hitting the fastball when he was hot, so pitchers started adapting. They started throwing that high heat. He was doing god-awful against the high heat, and then he was doing pretty good against it yesterday. So it could just be a thing of pitchers adapted to him, and he needed to adapt back, and he adapted back. It could be... Anthony Volpe is probably going to be one of... Because there's certain guys that you just can't adapt to. Like Aaron Judge, you can't adapt to him. Like, you just have to hope your stuff is good enough that day, or Aaron Judge makes a mistake. That is the only way you're getting him out. Anthony Volpe is one of those guys that he can't cover 100% of his bases. Yeah. So he'll always... I feel like Anthony Volpe, no matter what, and a lot of guys... This is probably speaking for, 95% of hitters in the league. They'll always have a weakness. It just depends what that weakness is given their approach that day. So finding that weakness to exploit it. So it could be a thing of all right, I'm going to exploit it on the high heat, change up the approach to do it. And I feel like a lot of hitters do that, and not just Volpe. But that being said, Volpe's highs and lows, they really do need it even out a bit more.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the evening out is kind of like the end of the year stats, but... And look, he might just be a streaky hitter for his career. That just might be Anthony
I think
Volpe.
the bigger issue is the guys around him. Because if Volpe's your 7, 8, 9 hitter, you're not really caring. You're like, okay, we got one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball that in any given week could just help carry
run
this
into a home run. Right.
Run
into a home run, hit a few doubles in the week. that's what you're expecting. And
yeah.
No, I definitely agree. I think the issues with the guys around
sometimes,
him.
I think it's more and I even saw people saying it's Anthony Volpe's going to be a serviceable major league player, but that's not what you want from the shortstop of the New York Yankees. Shut up.
Stop comparing. That's all that is. Stop comparing.
Jason Dominguez, he's having a dog shit year because he's not having an Aaron Judge rookie year.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that sounds like. It's ridiculous.
That's the type of stuff Clark Schmidt. Yeah, he's pitching horrible right now because he's not pitching like Max Fried. That's not who he is.
Stop comparing.
Trust
me. You this is a baseball thing. And this is a life thing. You will be so much better mentally if you just stop comparing everything.
You have to. You can't compare.
Take it for what they are.
No one is going to be the best of all time. There's only one best of all time for a goddamn reason.
Yeah.
Because only one can be the best of all time.
Best of all time.
Speaking of which, did you see that as of a couple of days ago, over the last 365 days, Aaron Judge had the highest career WRC plus of all time?
I did see that.
That is fucking insane.
Yeah. It's...
And now he's hitting home runs again.
We're watching history. Don't take that for granted.
I think that is part of the thing that's hurting him, though, Volpe. That you're seeing Aaron Judge go on this absurdly hot stretch, and then you're seeing Anthony Volpe at bats a couple of bats later.
7-foot Judge is hitting 40, 50, 60 home runs a year, and
5'9".
not even 6 foot. Yeah, 5'9" Anthony Volpe is just slapping the ball over the place. There seems to be a discrepancy somewhere. I don't know where it is.
Dude, I think Jeff McNeil kind of sucks because he's not hitting 60 home runs. Like, that's the type of, like, logic it is.
No, literally.
But, no, then, quick look ahead for the Yankees series. They got 3-game set against the Orioles where it's Warren versus Sugano. I'm not going to even try and pronounce his first name because I cannot pronunciate. Game 2. Yeah. Game 2, Carlos Rodon versus TBD. Game 3, Carlos Carrasco versus Povich. Then the Yankees got an off day, 3-game set versus the Rays. It lines up to be Max Fried, Schmidt, Warren. I don't know because of the rain out. I'm going to be very fucking pissed off if Max Fried is not pitching on Friday because I'm going to that game to get that Jazz Chisholm basketball jersey. So I will be very mad if I don't get Max Fried that day.
Fangraphs also has it as Max Fried on Friday, if that helps you.
And it would be normal rest because they have the off day. If they didn't have the off day, he wouldn't have pitched, but they have the off day, so it would be normal rest. Yeah. So, please. Please. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah, that's all I had for the Bronx for those games. Just 4-2. Actually,
solid week.
You got to win that series in Baltimore.
Oh, absolutely. This rotation is a travesty. What this front office did is just
They said they want to be the antithesis to the Yankees and Dodgers.
War crime.
It's
absolutely abysmal.
They get new owners. That the whole point of them being new owners is that they're rich. And then they spend nothing.
Here, Charlie Morton, take $15 million.
What?
Horrible.
My hearing aids were off.
And the worst thing, too, is the offense is just not hitting either. Their one strength is nothing.
Which is not going to be talked enough about because the pitching is so god-awful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm just looking at it now. 21st in OPS, 19th in runs. The starting pitchers are 28th in ERA, 29th in WHIP. The relief pitchers are 24th in ERA, 29th in WHIP. Like,
the Orioles of old are back, baby.
Like, this is a bad team right now.
The Orioles of old are back.
It's such a shame. It really is.
Glaber, just for a day, you want to cut for a series, you want to
come back?
But then you got that 3-game set against the Rays. You got how it sets up is how it's gonna be. You got Max Fried in that start. You got to win that one, especially if I'm gonna be there for that one. And I almost say if it was a home series for the Yankees, I'd say sweep Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd say you have to if it was a home series. It's a road series. Whatever.
Win the series.
But I got nothing else. If you want to go.
Yeah. That's it. So, with that being said, let's move on to Queens.
It's out of here! And the Mets win it!
This is Mets Willets Point. Transfer is available to the 7 local train.
Transfer is available to the Q48 bus.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Queens, where the Mets had an excellent start to the week and then made me want to jump out a window at the end of it. But the series is not over because the dumbest thing in baseball is a 4-game series that wraps around on Monday. Absolutely ridiculous. I absolutely hate it.
Prolonging the suffering.
Yeah, exactly. But before we talk about the week's games, your Triboro MD injury report. Jeff McNeil and Francisco Alvarez are back. Francisco Alvarez already hit a home run. Jeff McNeil hasn't done anything yet except for controversially losing them a game. Hayden Sanger was sent down for Alvarez. Let's just give him a little shout out. He was absolutely fine as a backup catcher. His stats aren't really great on the offensive side, but I never felt like it was kind of like a throwaway at bat. Like, he had decent at bats, and defensively he was fantastic. 90th percentile in blocks above average, 77th in caught stealings above average, and 90th in framing. Shout out Hayden Sanger. He did a great job with the backup role, and now the Mets kind of know that they have a competent, like, third string catcher, which I think is also something that's really good to know. And then the other part, Brett Baty. Brett Baty was sent down for Jeff McNeil. Before I say anything, Justin, what's your take?
The picture I just showed. Buddy. Pal.
Listen here.
It's over. It's over.
It's over.
It's funny that it happens now after he was starting to hit. What was it, like a 900 OPS over his last 8 games? Something along those lines?
His last 7 games, 333 average, 429 on base, 611 slugging.
Yeah.
4 strikeouts to 3 walks.
That's the annoying part.
That's what pisses me off the most. And I understand. Let me preface this by saying I understand why they did the move. I cannot like it and still understand that it's the right move. Because, look, Baty has options. Azokar would be the only other guy you would send down. He doesn't have options. You would have to DFA him. He's the only other really center fielder on the roster. I get it. Jose Azokar is not going to fucking play. Or he's barely going to play. You know, it's going to be one of those 1 every 6 games type of thing.
That's like if the Yankees send down Oswaldo Cabrera because he has options instead of DFAing Pablo Reyes. Because at the same time, too, who's going to fucking sign him? Who's going to pick him up?
Right.
He's 90% chance he goes to your AAA team.
Exactly. Or if he elects free agency, sign him back to a minor league deal. It's just a little frustrating as well because they had Jeff McNeil play center field on his rehab starts. He played center field for a game that Clay Holmes start, never got a chance. That was just a masterclass by Mendoza, putting Jeff McNeil in center field to the ground ball guy on the mound. That was just amazing. But it's... why have Jeff McNeil play center field? I mean, obviously it's to give more options, but it to me, it seemed like they were trying to give way for Baty to still kind of have a spot on this team.
Yeah.
To then just optioning him anyways. Again, after he started hitting. After he hit a 2-run home run against Zach Wheeler. 114 off the bat is not something you can teach.
You would think they must not believe what he did.
I don't know if I would go that far.
Or they don't think that he's that... They think, like, yeah, this is just a hot... They don't think that that's even close to the quality of hitter. Obviously, no one's a... If you're a 1100 OPS guy, like, you're an MVP.
Yeah.
But you're getting close to Aaron Judge. But they probably just... I don't want to say don't believe it, but they don't think that changes their opinion on him to the point of they would DFA someone else even if that person isn't all that valuable.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I don't think it's they don't believe it. I think it's A, the options, and B, I think they think that it's just a hot stretch.
It doesn't change their mind or really
right. It doesn't
sway
really
them.
change. And look, he appeared in doesn't tell me, but a lot of games, like 20 games, right? It's just too little, too late. I think also, you got 20 game sample, and he just started hitting the last 7, which I get. And the other thing, too, is Acuna just completely outplayed him in every facet of the game. Acuna was at least like a league average hitter, you know, when Baty was just completely below average. Acuna brings speed, which you don't have a lot on this team, especially with Jose Siri being hurt.
The Luis
and then the
Torrens.
defense. Yeah, exactly. And then the defense, Baty has been honestly like really good at second base, but Acuna is just the more natural fit. So you couldn't send down Acuna. And again, the only other guy would have been Azócar.
Would you have been more mad if they sent down Acuna?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Acuna completely deserved to stay. I'm
I
not
agree.
mad that they... Yeah, I'm not mad at that or anything.
I just
I'm
wanna
not
make
mad
sure.
at the fact. But, again, you have Jeff McNeil who can play center field. You went out of your way to make him play center field on rehab assignments. You have Tyrone Taylor. It seems like they really do not want Brandon Nimmo in center field. And I'm not sure why. It's definitely not a defense thing.
Yeah, I don't blame him, honestly. Because even if Nimmo was a little bit below average defensively, cool, whatever. I truly think it's a thing of plantar fasciitis is something that, even if you get the surgery, it still can come back. He has had how many lower body injuries? I know, like, those are a lot more, like, in the past, but who's to say they don't come back? I have no issue with it. It's almost like, obviously I know Aaron Judge was a god-awful defender last year in center field, but you feel so much more comfortable with him in right field over him being in center just because of the injury concerns.
Yeah, no, definitely. I get it to a point, but it just seems like they don't want him at all when it's kind of like, all right, if he starts one game in a 3-week span, is that really going to kill you? Is that like an issue? The other thing too is, again, they had Acuna get some reps in center field, only during like practice and things like that, pregame stuff, but that's like 4 guys on the roster who he can theoretically play center field. So now you need to keep Azócar.
Yeah,
to also play center
redundant.
field. That's what I'm saying. And the other thing too is playing time was going to be tough.
Was that 4 guys with
McNeil,
Azócar or without Azócar?
That was without.
I was gonna say I counted 4 without.
That's Tyrone, McNeil, Nimmo, Acuna, Azócar. 5 people.
Yeah, that's very redundant.
And again, the playing time was not going to be there for him. Obviously, Acuna has absolutely deserved to keep his playing time, and then with McNeil back, you got to get him in. Vientos, he's been better as of late, and I don't think you're taking him out anytime soon from a starting role. But I don't know. It's just the other thing is, what else can he prove at AAA?
I don't think there is
he
anything.
get hit AAA. We need him to keep getting at bats. For what? To prove what? There is nothing left for him to do at AAA. Unless you're teaching him a new position, which I doubt it. It's just...
And even then, I feel like... Stop. With the positions. Like, stop it. This is what, his 3rd new position that he's learned?
Yeah, he did some stuff in left field like a few years ago. Second base was last year into this year.
I just feel like you're trying so much, but at the same time, let the guy focus on hitting. Like, if your issue is that you're not letting him be on the roster because you don't think he's a good enough bat, let him focus on hitting. Stop making him worry about learning a new position. Let him work on the bat. And even then, what more can he really do in AAA? He's shown he can hit AAA. So either he could hit in the majors or he can't. And I think this is the Mets saying they aren't confident that he can.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is the Mets also use his last option year. So I believe it's 5 times in a year you can send them down and back. But after this year, Brett Baty cannot be optioned anymore, whether that's on the Mets or not. And from a trade perspective, I feel like that decreases his value a ton because he can't be optioned. So if you do trade him in the offseason or at the trade deadline or whatever, if he starts in the minors and he gets called up, that team will have to DFA Brett Baty to get him off the roster. So I don't know. I understand it, but I'm also still just, and it's also a slight bias thing. Obviously, I also just really like Brett Baty as a person, and it just sucks to see. But yeah, at the end of the day, it sucks, but it was probably just a little too late. Too little, too late for Brett Baty. But moving on from that, the Mets had a surprise signing in the middle of the week. The Mets are re-signing left-handed pitcher Brooks Raley to a 1-year deal with a team option. He had Tommy John last year, obviously, with the Mets. Should be ready by like June, July. So I'm figuring like trade deadline, All-Star break type of thing. I'm shocked it took this long. I'm shocked no other team jumped on this, honestly. He was really good with the Mets. Unless the surgery went haywire and something's really wrong, I don't understand why it took until the end of April for Brooks Raley to sign a contract. But I'm glad it's with the Mets because he was excellent with them. But it's all and now even more so because AJ Minter hit the 15-day IL for left lat strain. Frankie Montas had the lat injury. Luis Gil has the lat injury. We already know how long it's taking for those guys to rest and rehab, so it might be a while until we see AJ Minter again, which really sucks because he's been so good for the Mets so far. Just a little bit of a dagger in the middle of two just frustrating losses. Just like a little fuck you from the AJ Minter's lat.
I was going to say from the injury, the baseball gods, but that works too.
Yeah. Same thing. But before we talk about wanting to tear my head off because of the Nationals, quickly touch on the Philly series. Swept the Phillies out of Citi Field. This was just all Mets. All Mets. They only trailed in the last game of the series, and I believe that was only for a few innings. The Mets just completely handled the Phillies this series. There's really not much to talk about. I think, again, the Mets just kind of handled them. Game one was only close because Edwin Diaz wanted to, being the adrenaline junkie he is, wanted to make it close. And then the third game, which was a walk-off, those were the only two close games. Game two was pretty decided. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not much to say about the Phillies, if I'm being honest. The Mets just completely dominated them this series. And I think this is the issue we talked about them in the offseason. We know this Phillies team. This Phillies team is not very different from the ones we've seen the past 3 years.
I feel like they built a phenomenal team a couple years ago, and then just haven't upgraded it since.
They haven't improved.
I know they got Jesus Luzardo, but I feel like they haven't really changed anything.
Yeah.
Because you look at a bunch of the big good teams over the last couple of years that have sustainably been good. Take the Dodgers. Look at how different their lineup has been year over year. Look at the Mets. Look how different their lineup's been year over year. Look at the Braves, how different their lineup's been year over year. And even now, you're kind of seeing that little bit of fatigue with them.
Yeah.
So, if you don't upgrade to that lineup, guys are either going to age out or fizzle out. So, if you have guys that are a flash in the pan, and then that flash is gone, holding on to them and not replacing them is not going to be good. So
I think, the biggest thing is, or, the biggest proponent of that is, someone like Alec Bohm. He's had his shot since 2020, and he's been a league average bat at best, besides a few hot flashes.
A couple of doubles last year.
Right. Bryson Stott, he's been okay, but we've seen Trey Turner. He looks lost. He's having a rough start to the season. We know Bryce Harper is always going to be Bryce Harper, but we've seen Bryce Harper. We've seen Kyle Schwarber. We've seen Nick Castellanos. JT Realmuto's 34. Max Kepler's the only new guy.
And even then, that's
He's He's been all right. So, again, to your point, you haven't improved much else except for maybe the rotation, which really didn't need improvement.
Yeah, I feel that was their best part. The lineup is awesome, but it's only awesome for so long unless you improve it and add to it.
Yeah, right. And they didn't really address the bullpen. They lost Jeff Hoffman, and Jose Alvarado has been good, but that back end of the bullpen is not great. Jordan Romano is awful. So
Hey, he made a
again,
nice play yesterday on Sunday Night Baseball.
of course he did. But this is the first little side tangent. This is the first time I really watched Jordan Romano because obviously he was on the Blue Jays. I did not realize like how bothered he looks on the mound. Like
Dude.
he looks like it's just a chore. It's kind of all right. Let me just throw the pitch, and then it's fucking like 98.
Yeah.
Like it's the first time I really watched him, and like my family and I were just like the whole time. It's just like he just looks like he wants to go home.
He's. I also just can't believe he's good because the Yankees always would shit on him, especially the Aaron man. So he's one of those guys that, like, yeah, he can have a phenomenal sub-2 ERA. He's not good. Like, he's not good to me because my team always kills him. Like, the most biased way possible.
Yeah. But some other notes from this series: Tyler McGill, magnificent, struck out 10 Phillies in his start. Bullpen was solid. Carlos Mendoza got a little greedy in Game 1, which made it close, trying to push Max Kranick to 3 innings for the 3-inning save, but he obviously just was gassed out. Edwin Diaz came in and then, of course, made it close. But Juan Soto, inches away from his first Citi Field home run, just went foul. In Game 2, Griffin Canning was just also amazing. 5 innings, one run, striking out 5. He definitely wasn't on top of his game, but still, he got through 5 while only giving up a run. And then again, the bullpen, solid, amazing. Game 3 was a little rough. David Peterson kind of got hit around. The ground balls came back to bite him. Just found holes. He was kind of getting hit around. But again, the bullpen, fantastic. Held it where it was. And Edwin Diaz was kind of hurt, kind of not. He had said it was a hip cramp. Then after the game, he said the trainer said one of his legs was longer than the other, but they fixed it. So I think he's okay.
I saw that too, and I was like, "What?
Yeah.
Did they like get a chiropractor and they just like?"
Right. Like I'm thinking kind of like his hip was tight, so it's kind of like uneven.
You know what? A screw was loose. They said to tighten the screw up a little bit.
Obviously, yeah, okay, that makes sense. That checks out. But that was weird. And then again, because Diaz got injured in the 10th, Max Kranick had to come in again after pitching I think it was 2 1/3 on Monday. So if 1 day's rest, Max Kranick came in, shut the Phillies down, kind of serving up the plate for the Mets walk-off in the 10th off Jordan Romano. But
I don't believe he's good.
Yeah.
I'll never believe he's good. I will never believe Jordan Romano
he's like
is
a
a good
13
pitcher.
year right now, so
Yeah.
yikes. So Phillies series was great. The sweep was great.
What's better, the sweep or like feeling that the Phillies are cooked?
I don't think the Phillies are cooked. Do not misconstrue what I'm saying by saying the Phillies
Nicholas
are bad
O'Brien says that the
or
Philadelphia Phillies are a 5th
No.
place team.
They are a good
They're worse
team.
than the White Sox?
All right, I'm out. I'm done. They are a good team. We've just seen them. We know what they are. They are beatable. Observe by the 3-game sweep. But can't be happy for too long because the fucking Nationals are still
It's
a team.
sports.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's a 4-game series. The final game is being played today on Monday. So I don't have that game, but the first 3 games wanted me to throw something at the TV and throw myself out the window. I have this in my notes. Frustrating, and in all caps, frustrating. Before I get to the game itself, this has to be one of the worst umpiring crews I have seen in a single series. There was a quote-unquote triple play on Friday where the ball hit the ground like just before it hit the glove. First baseman umpire ruled it a catch. It was a triple play because everyone else was running. It is a non-reviewable play if it's on the infield. If you can review a catch in the outfield, but if it's on the infield, it is a non-reviewable play.
I don't blame that umpire for thinking that was a catch. I don't.
Yeah,
I can
that's fair.
I can understand why you think that would be a catch. It was so bang bang. It was so close. Cool.
Right.
We have
and you're behind them. You're
Yeah.
behind the play. Whatever.
We have instant replay for a reason. That is clearly not a catch. We have replay to say that is not a catch. Okay, we get it. Tough play. Whatever. No big deal. We'll overturn it.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
How can you not review that?
That's my biggest pet peeve with sports. Where, like, in any sport, how you'll have instant replay. And the whole point of instant replay is to overturn egregious calls. But when you don't have stuff that's reviewable so you can't overturn egregious calls, what the fuck's the point?
What's the point? It was completely brutal, and look, the Mets lost by 1 run on a walk-off, and there was some weird plays, like Brandon Nimmo had a mental lapse, threw the ball into third base, allowing Dylan Cruz to get to second on a routine single. So, again, and then he came around to score on, like, the very next batter. So, there's some weird mental plays, and then you get to the triple play, and it's kind of like they lost by 1 run, and you would think that they were rallying a little bit, and at the most, it would have been second and third with 1 out, because by the time Nathaniel Lowe threw to second base to double off, quote unquote, Nimmo, Vientos was already at second base. I don't know if you saw this. The best part is the second base umpire ruled him safe, and then the first baseman umpire did the whole fucking AAA hoopla. So, how did not one of the other 3 umpires see that play? And again, how the fuck is this not reviewable?
That's
It's
the most
absolutely
egregious
insane.
part by far.
Absolutely insane.
I could see
And
why
then
the
on
human eye would mess that up, but
Yeah, I get it. Whatever. Then on Saturday's game, the first base umpire had 3 calls overturned on him. 3 calls overturned on him in, like, the first 5 innings. On pretty, like, clear as day. Like, this was a fucking Angel Hernandez type of
which
day for
umpire
him.
you said?
The first base umpire.
Okay.
There was 3 plays at first base that he called wrong that were overturned pretty quickly. And then not to mention the fucking home plate umpiring, which on Sunday was brutal for both sides. Because first it was a tight strike zone, then it was a wide strike zone, and then he missed a ball. He called a ball that was a strike right down the middle. This has been such an egregious umpiring crew that I do not understand how this is allowed in this league. It is beyond god awful
The umpire
that
association.
this is allowed. I know, I understand that's why, but it's like there is no accountability for the umpires. It's brutal. Like that's the one thing I like about basketball. Refs will talk to the media after the game, and they'll straight up be like, "Yeah, I missed a call, in the third quarter or whatever." Like that's what I like about basketball, at least. But for the umpires, it's like, nope.
It takes
That's
a
the call.
lot for you to give credit
That's
to
the
the
call.
NBA. It takes a
a lot. I do
lot
not
for
like the
you to give
NBA
credit
at
to
all.
it.
But that's the one thing I really do like, and it's not even on the NBA. It's on the fucking
Umpire
the refs.
association.
Or whatever. I don't know what they call it. I don't know if they have an
Referees.
association or whatever it's called. Yeah. But just absolutely brutal. But at the end of the day, the Mets lost on Friday on a walk-off. They won on Saturday thanks to Francisco Alvarez 2-run homer. And then they lost on Sunday and blew a 6-run lead in less than 3 innings. 6 runs.
Do you know
7
how,
runs.
Do you know how I found out about that?
How do you find out?
The LeBron meme.
Yeah. I'm trying to collect my thoughts because it was such a frustrating loss. And the way this happened is just so unfortunate and very annoying. So the 7th inning, Tyler McGill starts. Pop fly into the outfield. Soto loses it in the sun. Like, just clear as day. From the moment it went up, you can tell he had no idea where the ball was. Plops down between him and Taylor. What are you going to do? It happens. The sun is an annoying thing that is needed.
Happens to everyone.
McGill gets pulled, Jose Buto in. The meltdown that this motherfucker had on the mound is amazing. It is truly just, I do not understand how you allow it's just the one inherited runner to score. And then you let up another 3 runs by yourself. You allowed 4 runs to the bottom of the Nationals lineup. You let up a 3-run homer to Riley Adams, who's hitting under 200, who has an OPS under 600, and hasn't hit a home run since last year. And you think a fastball down the dick is the pitch to throw. Jose Buto absolutely melted down and just had an embarrassing performance. And it led me to looking into him a little bit because he's become a little bit of a problem. He has not been great this year with men on base. That is his kryptonite. I'm trying to pull up his season stats because I don't think his ERA tells the whole story. He has a 4.20 ERA, which, you might think is not bad, right?
Not good, but not bad.
4.20 ERA. Yeah, it's not great, not bad. 4.20 ERA, 4.33 expected ERA, 3.45 FIP, 3.70 FIP. Solid. Jose Buto has inherited 7 runners. 5 of them have scored. That is a 71% rate. 71% of his inherited runners have scored.
It should be flipped.
The league average rate is 36.
It literally should be 70% of them are not scoring. 70% are left on base.
And with men on base, Jose Buto has an 884 OPS against.
That's ridiculous.
I will give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt because this is his first full year as a relief pitcher. Last year, he started as a starter, and then kind of became that relief pitcher in the middle of the year. So, again, I'll give him benefit of the doubt. He's not used to coming guys on base. The starter mindset's fairly different. But as a reliever, you cannot be this bad at letting inherited runners score. These are if I'm remembering correctly, it's like a top 15 mark in baseball. Or I guess bottom 15 mark in baseball. 71% score rate. And it's he has, I forget the exact rank, but the 7 inherited runners is one of the most in baseball so far of a relief pitcher. And you're letting 70% of them score. That just can't happen. And obviously, you can't put Buto in the middle of an inning. He needs a clean inning. But then that just takes away another reliever when you're kind of in a jam. So as a reliever, he has to be better. And I'm not sure what's going wrong because he's throwing the same pitches. The whip is still high. That's probably problem number 1. The walks are not great. 10.6 walk percentage, but pitches are the same. The sequencing might be a little different. So I don't know, but all I know is that Jose Buto is a problem, and he needs to only start with a clean inning. But again, that at one point you're gonna have to throw him into the fire if men on base. That's just the life of a reliever. You're not always gonna get a clean inning.
You can't go into the playoffs with a guy in your bullpen that's he cannot be put into a situation. There's going to be points where your bullpen is going to be waxed. He's the only guy available put in. He has to be able to fix that.
Absolutely. And, he didn't have a great playoffs either. Let's not forget that. It wasn't great. If it wasn't for Pete Alonso, I'd be hating this man because of Game 3 in the wild card. But another note from Sunday's game, the Mets had their chances to add on. I'll give them that. But when you score 7 runs and you have a 6-run lead, I am not going to rag on the offense for not scoring more. As a pitching staff, you cannot let up a 6-run lead like that, especially with a 5-run inning. Like, that just can't happen. I don't care what other people say. Like, I am not ragging on the offense for this. When you score 7 runs and you have a 6-run lead, you cannot, in the 7th inning, you were almost there. You cannot let a 6-run lead like this just disappear in a matter of 2 innings. Like, it was embarrassing. It's pathetic. Whatever you want to say. The one thing I'll get on the offense for is in the 9th inning, they had, a second and third no-out opportunity, and they didn't score. And obviously they got walked off. Like, that I will get mad about because they had perfect opportunity to score more there. At the point of the game where it's now a 1-run game, so you needed the insurance runs, and you didn't score. Mark Vientos, Starling Marte, and Brandon Nimmo. Horrible at-bats with guys on. Just absolutely putrid. Starting to sour on Starling Marte a little bit. Just the approach is not there. I mean, I know he had the walk-off against Philly, but he got jammed. I'm not saying he got lucky, but he got jammed and the ball just got over the infield. He's not doing it for me right now. I'll tell you that much. But in the 9th inning, Carlos Mendoza decided to stay away from Edwin Diaz, so Ryan Stanek was on for the save. After Ryan Stanek blew the save on Friday, he's in for the save again. Blows the save. No thanks to a Pete Alonso error, but Stanek didn't do himself any favors. My biggest gripe with Stanek in this outing was he had C.J. Abrams in a 1-2 count. Abrams struck out 3 times that day. 2 out of the 3 times he struck out on a fastball high and away. He fouled off 2 fastballs in a row. That was kind of like more middle up and then kind of more away, but not really high. He goes to the splitter, just catches too much plate. Abrams hits it, tie game. Stanek throws 100 miles an hour. Tyler McGill does not. Why are we not throwing high and away? Like, not in the strike zone. High out of the strike zone and away. Got him twice in this game. Twice in this game. And he goes to the splitter. That absolutely just boggled the mind. I do not understand why he was not just pumping the fastball high and away. But yeah, it was a frustrating game. Obviously, the worst loss of the season so far. And just the bullpen is starting to leak just a little bit. This past week, which obviously isn't, you're not going to take a week and blow everything up, but they have an ERA over 4 this week. Hopefully it's just a bad week, whatever. But I think there's starting to be signs of some overuse. Kranick obviously is like the biggest concern right now. Because again, he threw almost 3 innings on Monday. Had to come in on a Wednesday for injured Edwin Diaz. Had to come in on Saturday for the injured AJ Minter. So I think he's starting to get overused a little bit. He's kind of been like the break glass in case of emergency. But I think there's been a little too many emergencies this past week, and I think he's just being completely overused. But that goes into the starters, which just are not really pitching deep into games. It's a lot of 5-inning starts, 5 2/3. As good as the starters have been, and they still have the best ERA in baseball for a starting pitching staff. They are 16th in innings pitched.
About to look that up, but you beat me to it.
Yeah. 16th in innings pitched. You got to pitch more than that. The bullpen has been great, but we saw this last year too. The starters didn't go deep. The bullpen had to pitch and cover a lot of innings. And then in May is when everything blew up. They are 10th in innings pitched from the bullpen with 104.
Bullpens fizzle out.
So
that's just the reality of them.
That's the nature of the position too. Like you're going to be tired. You're not going to be on your game, and there goes the win. So the starters absolutely need to start pitching more. Sean Bonilla was so good for that down the stretch last year. It felt like he was going 7 innings every night. Tyler McGill tried I think Mendoza pushed him, and they pushed him at the right time, and then Jose Butto just shat on it. Kodai Senga's had a couple 6-inning, 7-inning starts, so you're starting to see signs of them kind of being pushed a little more, but it's got to be on a more consistent basis, because, again, this bullpen cannot be pitching 4 or 5 innings a night. But on the flip side of that, look, this is... I now realize this is starting to sound like a very negative episode for me, and it's because of how frustrating these losses have been. Mets have the best record in baseball, first place in the NL East. That's great. Love it. Cool. But there's issues that are becoming a little more prevalent as we move on. It is April 28th. It is almost the end of April, and the Mets only have 4 above-average hitters by weighted runs created plus. That's Pete Alonso, Lindor, Soto, who's like slightly above average, and Acuna, who is basically average. Mark Vientos, Jesse Winker, Starling Marte, and Brandon Nimmo are all below a 100, which is league average, weighted runs created plus. Again, I will say, because I said it earlier, Vientos has been better. He has a 151 in the last 2 weeks. Great. Hopefully that's building off some more consistency. Winker has been very on and off. I kind of said my piece about Starling Marte. He's kind of pissing me off a little. Brandon Nimmo. We talked about him last week, and it's so frustrating because a lot of the under the hood stuff is really good. Average exit velocity 92. That's 86th percentile. Hard hit percentage 94th percentile. 56.5%. 56.5% of his batted balls are hard hit, which is 95 or above. And he's barreling the ball at a decent rate too, 63rd percentile. But I feel like it's all on the ground. That's just what it seems like. Average launch angle is a little like skewy because you could have a -16 and then a 40 and whatever. But his average launch angle is 8.2 when last year was 11.2, the year before that 12.2. He's not really lifting the ball, and the ground ball percentage is higher than his career average. It's still below 50% at 48.2, but I don't know. He's hitting the ball hard. Just it feels like it's always on the ground, which is the most frustrating part because you can see it like it's 106 groundouts, 110 groundouts, but it's like lift for the love of God.
Yeah, it's 110 miles an hour, but it's 20 when it gets to the defender because all the worms that it slaughtered.
Yeah, exactly. All the
families
blood.
of worms that are just been obliterated.
Exactly. So Brandon Nimmo has been probably the most frustrating hitter to watch, but at the end of the day, this offense just needs to pick it up. Like, Francisco Lindor is not having a bad start to the season. He's hitting over 300. He has an OPS over 800. Alonso, obviously, it has been a godsend. Juan Soto is still just not right. He shuffled slightly for the first time this season. He has not been shuffling. He shuffled slightly on Sunday and then hit, I think it was 113 off the bat for a double. So he's showing signs, but it's not the Soto that we were expecting. And then everyone else has just been pretty brutal. So, yeah, the offense just needs to pick it up. And could use it should have been yesterday, an offensive blowout that you don't need to use all your high leverage bullpen arms, but Jose Butto decided to say no. It's like that meme. It's like, I think it's like the consent meme. It's like, did you ask anybody? And it's like, I said no. That was Jose Butto yesterday. So, very frustrating. Justin, I don't know if you have any thoughts on bullpen, pitchers, offense.
My only thing is, I know you had a spirited debate on Twitter with someone about the Mets' strength of schedule when it came to the offense faced.
I did.
What Would you say the Mets have had an easy schedule so far?
I would not say they had a hard schedule.
I think this may be where the rubber starts to meet the road. Not necessarily in the sense like, oh, the Mets are about to start losing every series, but kind of in the sense of let's see them against good teams, but let's see them consistently not have to play 2 series against the Marlins in a 3-series span, which is a lot more in MLB than the Mets. That is a lot on MLB.
Yeah, the scheduling is just god-awful. I've said it multiple times. I hate how the scheduling works, but I do understand what you're saying. But they also just swept the Phillies.
That's why I'm not, like, fully saying it, because they just swept the Phillies. But I want to see them do that consistently. Just because I want to see them do that when their bullpen starts getting taxed. See what happens when you need to push the starters. Can you push the starters when you need to? And if you can't, can the bullpen deal with being taxed? And can you get away with having only 4 above-average hitters for the rest of the year?
Right. Which,
you can't.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert,
can't.
Especially when 2 of them are essentially average.
Right. I will say, they are 7-8 on the road so far. And on the road, they played the Astros, they played Miami, they played the Athletics, they played the Twins, and now they've played the Nationals. So, not really
the best
tough.
Teams.
Yeah, but you're still, below 500 on the road. The Minnesota series was just awful on all accounts. Houston was opening weekend, and things just didn't go right for you. Whatever. You won in Miami. You won in. I almost said Oakland. You won in
Sacramento.
Sacramento. Holy crap! And then
for those
Washington.
For those that are listening, the biggest eye roll of all time when I said Sacramento.
Yeah. And then now Washington, who had and I wouldn't even call they're not a good team, but they are definitely not bad.
Not bad. They're not average, but they're not bad.
Yeah. So, it's a young team. I hate what I'm going to sound like. They're a young team, they're gritty, like, they fight back.
Grit.
Whatever.
Gritty Nats.
But, they got that natitude. Whatever. All right, I'm going to stop there.
All right, thank you guys for watching.
But, no, to your point, I would like to see a little more consistency on the road, especially against teams you should be beating. I think that's the other thing. Like, say what you want about the schedule, but if they're not beating the bad teams, then it's,
then it doesn't matter.
Little Mets, they suck, blah, blah, blah. But you win against the bad teams, and you're only playing bad teams, so you can't win.
Yeah. That's why I'm not, like, saying, like, you guys can only beat bad teams. I'm just saying I want to see what it looks like when the bullpen's taxed, when the starters only go 5 innings.
That is fair. I will give you that. So, with that being said, we'll look ahead real quick. Again, last game against the Nationals this afternoon. For the love of God, win.
4-game series that ends on Monday.
Stupid.
Dude, what happened to the fucking 2 old people that used to make the schedule? Like the old couple that would do it by hand? They would never do this shit.
Like the 2 guys from the Muppets?
Kind of.
You know those guys? Yeah. I forget their names, but those guys need to make the schedule. But regardless, you got 3. So, Nationals tonight, 3-game series against the Diamondbacks at home. You got Eduardo Rodriguez, Corbin Burns, and Zach Allen.
Oof.
I don't know what to make of it because Burns has not been great. He's been fine. Burns has not been Burns. Gallen has been awful. And Rodriguez has been good so far. But their offense still bangs. They are still a very good offense. Let's not get it twisted.
Looking at you, Corbin.
Where are...
Eugenio. I don't know, just to put into perspective the state the Diamondbacks are in right now, Eugenio Suarez had a 4-home-run game and they lost.
Yeah. So...
The second time in MLB history that's happened.
The last time happened in 1986, just saying. But we are missing Ketel Marte. I don't believe he'll be back by this series. I think he's going to be back next weekend. So the Mets will see him in Arizona when they fucking play Arizona again next week.
So the kettle's off the pot, or the kettle's off the stove?
I'm so frustrated by the schedule. I'm not even gonna just react to that, but just you played the Diamondbacks at home for 3 games 1 week, and then the next week you travel to Arizona to play them again. That's so fucking ass backwards. Why the fuck are you playing them 6 times in a 2-week span? They're not even division rivals. It's ridiculous. I don't get it. Like, what?
That's like the Yankees
Fuck is this
starting
schedule?
their first 4 seasons were against National League teams.
I hate the schedule. I absolutely hate the scheduling. But I can go on and on about that. So, but not Cardinals. Fucking Diamondbacks hitting really good. 3rd in OPS, 3rd in runs. Starting pitchers, not so much. 23rd in ERA. Relief pitchers, 23rd in ERA. Really good offense. The pitching has been so-so, and then the bullpen has been so-so. They also don't have.
They are nasty though. They're pitchers.
Yes.
Like I feel like it's one of those things of like, especially the relievers too. Like I think it's Justin Martinez. Is that his first name?
Yes.
He is absolutely fucking
He's disgusting.
They have some disgusting.
He was my relief pitcher of the year award. Remember?
He was.
Mm-hmm.
I completely forgot that, but no. Well, my rookie of the year was Dylan Cruz. So, but.
Fucking hate Dylan Cruz. That's the other thing I've noticed this series. I fucking hate Dylan Cruz. And you're telling me we got 5 more fucking years of Dylan Cruz? Fuck that guy. I can't.
No, but those pitchers, I feel like it's almost a ticking time bomb where they will find out. They will figure it out at one point. You just don't want it to be against you. I think that's the point of the Diamondback series. Just
more I look.
Wait 2 weeks.
Bullpen,
do it in 2 weeks, not this week or next week.
The more I look at this bullpen, I think they're just really weighted down by Ryan Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Nelson has a 7.6 ERA. Justin Martinez 0.9. Shelby Miller has not given up a run. Jalen Beeks 2.2. Ryan Thompson 4.6. Dre Jameson 3 on the dot, and then Juan.
Did you just say Shelby?
Mario.
Did you say Shelby Miller?
Shelby Miller is on the Diamondbacks.
Am I thinking of the same Shelby Miller?
That Shelby Miller. He is. How old is he? He is almost 35 years old.
I thought he was retired.
I thought he did
like what's it called?
Oh, he pitched last year. He was on the Tigers last year. It was not great, but
I thought he did not a correspondent with teams, like an advisor with teams. I thought he was like a bullpen advisor or something.
He's been pitching because I just like his fan. He's been pitching the last couple of years. He's been around.
I knew he was on the Yankees like 2 years ago, but
yeah. But I think this bullpen, the ERA is a little misleading. This bullpen's kind of nasty the more I look at it. So, but again, the starters: Gallen, ERA over 5. Burns, ERA over 4, slightly. And then Eduardo Rodriguez, 4.4, which is kind of like his career average. So I'm not.
That's E-Rod.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's just the pitcher he is. So. Yeah, so that should be a fun series. That's at home. They seemingly play better at home, so do that. And then they go on the road for 3 games against St. Louis, who you just fucking played. Like, it's going to be 2 weeks by the time they play again, but still.
Same month. Well, not even same month, but within a month.
2 week span. 2 week span. You're playing them 7 fucking times in 2 week span. Regardless. The
you sound like
probable
Rain Man.
pitchers.
8 fish sticks, 8 fish sticks, and then 8 fish sticks.
The probable pitchers for that are as follows: Sonny Gray, Eric Fetty, who you did not see last time out, and Andre Palante. So, the Cardinals are the Cardinals. You just saw them.
But it is Sonny Gray, not in a big market, though.
Not in New York.
Not in New York, so that...
Completely different pitcher.
That means something.
Then Eric Fetty, who's been okay. Then Andre Palante, who's been good, but you hit last time out. So yeah. A very roller coaster week. High of highs, the sweep of the Phillies. Want to throw something out the window because of because of the Nationals. So, anything else you got, Justin, before I outro monkey?
Outro monkey, go, 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 go,
Okay.
go.
So, with that being said, the outro monkey speaks. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. Subscribe, leave us a comment, like, so you never miss an episode. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, remember to leave us a rating and a review. We really appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yep, that's English. Lets us know that you're enjoying the show. And remember to follow so you don't miss an episode there. Follow all of our social media accounts: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's the last one. We're posting the lineups, final scores there if you don't know. So now you know. But thank you guys again, and we'll see you next week with another episode.